Hey everyone, I'm Tom Hanson. Thank you so much for joining us. It's normally the time of year when many of us gather with family and friends. Unfortunately, this year has been anything but normal. Despite pleas from health officials urging the country to stay home, millions of Americans are traveling for Christmas. Predictions from AAA estimate that more than 80 million U.S. residents are traveling this week. That's down 25% from last year. But on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the TSA screened more than 1 million passengers per day, the first time that's happened since the start of the pandemic. As millions of Americans set out for the holidays, another 12 million Americans are set to lose their unemployment benefits this week, and millions more are set to lose protection from eviction. Congress voted earlier this week to extend the benefits, but the president has refused to sign the legislation. Breaking with some members of his own party, President Trump is calling on lawmakers to increase direct payments as he holds out. Mr. Trump is issuing more controversial pardons to his longtime allies and members of his extended family. CBS's Skylar Henry reports.
President Trump's new round of pardons is sparking controversy. Last night, the president granted pardons to his former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, longtime friend and advisor Roger Stone, and Charles Kushner, the father of President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
I've always found Paul Manafort to be a very decent man.
Manafort served around 2 years in prison on tax and bank fraud charges in connection with special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation.
Roger Stone was treated very unfairly, in my opinion.
Roger Stone was convicted of witness tampering and lying to Congress. But the White House said Wednesday Stone's conviction was the result of prosecutorial misconduct. The president also pardoned Jared Kushner's father, Charles, who pleaded guilty to witness retaliation and tax charges in 2005.
Loathsome, disgusting crimes.
Trump ally and former U.S. Attorney Chris Christie prosecuted the case. The pardons came the same day the president vetoed a key defense funding bill. He also continues to stand in the way of the COVID relief bill unless the stimulus payments go up from $600 to $2,000. This morning, House Democrats tried to boost the payments.
$600 is certainly not enough for individuals who have been struggling these past 7 months.
But Republicans blocked the move. It's now up to the president to either sign or veto the original relief bill, as unemployment benefits are set to expire the day after Christmas. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time, and Merry Christmas. I want to start with this debate over the coronavirus relief bill. President Trump is calling for increasing direct payments from $600 per person to $2,000. Democratic leadership agrees with him. Representative Gottheimer, to you first. This seems like an easy problem to solve that could put some much-needed money in Americans' pockets. Are you on board with upping the payments, and what is your message to your colleagues who sit on the opposite side of the issue from you?
Well, I certainly support upping the payments. People are really hurting, as you know, so many families. We've not only lost 322,000 people in our country, but 30% of small businesses have gone out. In my state of New Jersey, more than 10.2% of people are unemployed right now, so people are in food lines for the very first time, so people need help. That said, we have a package that we voted on, Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate. It took months of negotiating. We got it done. It's waiting for the president's signature. That'll provide immediate relief of $600 to get out the door while we're waiting. And I think we should also push to get more resources while we're waiting on that measure. But we've got people who on the 26th of December will be lose their unemployment benefits. At the end of the year, they're going to be evicted and thrown out of their homes. So you have so many people right now that are hurting. We need to get these resources now for vaccine distribution and food security and help on rental assistance. We've got a bill on his desk. We've just got to get it signed and get it moving.
Yeah, this latest development seems kind of like a gut punch to people who are really strained and relying on that money. Representative Reed, this year we saw the highest single-year rise in poverty in over a decade. Some 12 million families fell below the poverty line, which is just over $26,000 for a family of four. Why are congressional Republicans blocking unanimous consent for larger direct payments to Americans, and should they approve them next week?
That supports the increased amount, but this bill was negotiated on the COVID relief side at the $600 level, and that was the common ground. It took months to get to that common ground, to get the bipartisan support, bicameral support, because remember, the Solvers Caucus worked with our group in the Senate, the Gang of Eight there, to draft this bill. And remember what the president also said. He's opposing to other pieces that are in this bill that aren't in the COVID relief sections. They're in the spending side of it that wants to go after the waste, fraud, and abuse and the foreign aid lines. Now, I agree with the president that we shouldn't be governing this way. We shouldn't be waiting till the last minute and throw everything into these massive bills and take it or leave it. But that's the reality of Washington, D.C. So we're trying in the Problem Solvers Caucus to reform Congress to do better. But the reality of the situation is we have this situation in front of us. And I join with Josh in working with the Problem Solvers Caucus to say the COVID relief bill is ready to go, $900 billion, immediate relief of $600. And if there's a way to get the additional debate on an additional $1,400 put together, we can do that. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be part of this bill, because once you start opening up this bill on COVID relief of the $900 billion, you're going to get a question about unemployment enhanced benefits of $300. If you're going to get $2,000 of cash, why do you need the extra $300 of unemployment benefits? Some of my colleagues would argue. And it starts to unravel. And then the American people get nothing. And that is unacceptable to me and to many of my colleagues.
Yeah, I know that this current bill that was approved by both sides, was kind of criticized for the $600 not being enough, but something is certainly better than nothing. Representative Gottheimer, provisions from the last COVID relief bill have already expired. The remaining few are about to expire as well. It's a really critical time of year right now. Even if President Trump signed the bill into law this past week, the New York Times reports state unemployment systems wouldn't have been ready to process the changes before Saturday's deadline. Do you think Congress did its job adequately here?
I mean, I can't explain to you how frustrating this whole process has been. We've been working months. I mean, Tom and I in the Problem Solvers Caucus since this summer, trying to get another package done, to get leadership, to get back to the table, to move this along. We haven't stopped for 1 hour this entire time. There were so many politics played with it, and people's lives have been on the line. So that's why. The last thing people need right now is a coal in their stocking. They need actually real help. And you're right, there's things we're not going to be able to get out of the door right now, but there's plenty of aid that we can get them. We can get them those direct checks to start moving to their homes. We can get rental assistance. We can ensure that they won't get evicted at the end of the year, right? We can help get, obviously, vaccines out and more food to those food banks to help people who are in food lines for the very first time. Small businesses, a second round of PPP loans to help them stay afloat and keep people employed. You have so many people that are hurting right now. The idea that this is the way we govern is absurd. But Tom and I, with Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate, have been working for months to try to break this gridlock, break this logjam, and get it done.
Mr. Gottheimer, I'm just curious, why now is the president, weighing in on this? He's had weeks, months to be a part of these conversations, and why now?
Well, I wish I had an answer for you. It doesn't make any sense. His representatives, the Secretary of Treasury was at the table, his Chief of Staff was involved. We all worked on this together. It was a bipartisan, bicameral negotiation and deal that was made. There are things in there that I wish we had more of, like more direct check dollars, but this was the deal that was made. And to hold it hostage right now makes no sense. So I appeal to the president to please, on Christmas here, let's do the right thing. I'm happy, of course, to go fight as we did today for additional resources. We'll have a vote again on Monday. Hopefully we can get more dollars out to people. But we've got a bill passed sitting on the desk. Please sign it. Let's help Americans as we can right now. Let's help our families, our communities, our small businesses. We can do it.
Representative Reed, I want to turn it over to you. President-elect Biden has said he wants another stimulus deal in January when he takes office. Is your caucus prepared to negotiate another package that will focus on the needs of the American people?
Well, obviously, we in the Problem Solvers Caucus have already moved the ball on two issues that are still outstanding and I do believe have to be resolved, and that's liability protection for our colleges, for our hospitals, and for our businesses and our individual entrepreneurs that are out there, as well as state and local aid. And we in the Gang of Eight in the Senate with the Problem Solvers Caucus exchanged legislative text, came up with a bipartisan supported agreement with Joe Manchin supporting Republicans in regards to that Gang of Eight working with us in the Problem Solvers Caucus. So we're going to have to deal with that problem. That's coming to a head. That's a problem on the horizon. People, I don't think, appreciate how big of an issue that is. And so we're going to have to deal with it. Now, it's going to be determinative of what is the economic conditions, what is the status of the vaccine, and what is the status of COVID-19. And the good news is 2021 is dawning with a light at the end of the tunnel. The vaccine is being distributed. The vaccine is the ultimate solution to COVID-19. And let us all agree and work together to get COVID-19 into the history books as soon as possible, get herd immunity achieved, and then we can start returning to normalcy in America again.
Yeah, it'll certainly, hopefully the economy will bounce back as a consequence of us getting back to normal. Representatives Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey and Tom Reed of New York. Gentlemen, thank you, and thank you for taking the time on this holiday.
Merry Christmas. Stay safe.
Merry Christmas.